Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Trap Chat with the Shark. Today we have a very special guest all the way from, I'm going to let her tell you. So we have Kristina Minyard. Kristina, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here with y'all. I am Kristina Minyard. I am coming to you guys from Huntsville, Alabama. I am currently an HR and talent acquisition manager for a small DoD company that specializes in artificial intelligence and command and control. And I have been doing what I do for like 15 years now. I know, it feels very weird and almost like I'm an adult since I can.
Oh, man. I got to just say roll tide roll, right? Is that what you guys say?
Not me. I'm originally from Arkansas. I've never picked an Alabama team. I've never will pick an Alabama team.
I'm a Buckeye, so okay, all good.
Wait, you went to Penn State.
And I'm an Ohio State fan too. Big Ten. That's for another subject.
Listen, so I got dressed up for you today, Kristina, because, I had to wear my Southern Charm pearls.
I love them. They look beautiful.
Unfortunately, I'm actually glad you changed your Twitter handle to, so we're going to talk about that because I need to know why you changed it from wear a mask, because if you had kept it there, I was probably going to wear a mask today. But you changed it to maddest woman this town has ever seen, and I need to know why.
Okay, so it's from a Taylor Swift song. I'm a little embarrassed.
Oh.
But look, that folklore album, I mean, someone hurt her. And I don't know who it was, but she put out some good music because of it. But I will say that line, that's from probably my favorite song on that album. That line, I feel like that here in Huntsville because I'm outnumbered on some political views and things like that. And so I do feel like I might be the maddest woman this town has ever seen. And I don't think they know what to do with me sometimes.
Okay, I get it. So let's get back to the recruiting talk and then we can jump back into some fun. So 15 years recruiting. We ask everyone this question, especially when they are recruiters, because we're trying to keep our tally high. We're trying to keep our average high. How did you get into recruiting?
So I'm going to give you the answer that you guys don't like. I didn't mean to. It was all by accident.
Oh, no, that's the answer we want.
From all of us.
I'm suspicious of people who targeted recruiting because I think, something's wrong with you if you targeted recruiting. I'm sorry, we can talk about it offline. But actually, when I moved here from Arkansas to Alabama, I had the hardest time finding a job.
Okay.
I went like 5 weeks, I think, without a job. And I was very young still, but I was like, this is not okay. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And my husband talked me into going to a staffing company to fill out an application. And I was like, I don't need a staffing company to find me a job. I can find my own job, blah, 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 blah. Turns out I did need a staffing company to find me a job. And when I went in to do the application, they ended up hiring me to work in the office, which was a huge relief for me because all I could think is they're going to send me to do some kind of assembly work and I'm going to be terrible at it. I'm not that coordinated. I have really huge man hands. I don't think it's a good idea for me to do assembly work. So I was happy to have a chance to recruit instead of, work in manufacturing somewhere.
Nice. So yes, just about every one of our guests, and that may be because of the way we've curated our own internal networks, that it's always recruiters. That it's always old school. It's always old school recruiters who, either came up through staffing companies and then went corporate or stayed in, on the staffing side, or, they were doing HR and they needed a recruiter really quickly and they just stuck with it. So, I don't think we've had anyone yet that said, yes, I chose recruiting. But true story, I'm talking to a young lady this afternoon who reached out to me because she is interested in recruiting. And I'm like,
yes, do it. You can do it.
I have premature gray hairs from recruiting. I've had a lot of late nights because of recruiting. I've got some wrinkles. borderline drinking problem because of recruiting. I mean, if we're being honest.
But time out. This is the best profession ever, right? Come on. At the end of the day, we love it. We love it.
I love it. I love it. I really do. I keep doing it. So.
Well, that could be the insanity also.
Right. Something's wrong with it. That's why we love it.
You have to be. You have to be a little bit touched to be a recruiter. So defense contracting. Whoo! I did that forever. Still do dabble in certain companies, but how has COVID changed defense contracting?
You know what? I was very pleasantly surprised that most of defense contracting continued and they let people telework, because just as well as I do that they don't like that, especially for contractors to telework. Right. I mean, it's a big deal to get a government employee approved for telework. It is unheard of to get a mass amount of contractors approved to telework, but they did accommodate. Not all work can be done remotely, and so they've put in some really good safety measures to make sure that only 25% capacity anywhere on a government site at any given time. They have rotated shifts to make sure that everyone can get their work done. So employees have had to adapt to crazy work hours, but most of them have fared that just fine. So it's actually been very, very good.
Okay. So are you only recruiting in the local Huntsville area?
So I am currently recruiting in Huntsville, Arizona, and the DC area.
Okay.
Yeah. And so one of the things that's interesting about recruiting right now during COVID, especially for a defense contractor, is now we have collectively come up with this idea that, all of our work can be done remotely. So people from all over the country are applying to our jobs. Right. But I know good and well that they're eventually going to go back on site. Yeah. So I love that idea that you can do the work from anywhere, but you can't always do this work from anywhere. So I'm having to spend a lot of time screening candidates and having that conversation like, hey, that's great. Like right now, we could start you off where you are in Colorado or, Oregon or wherever, but eventually they're going to expect employees to go back on site. And I suspect it will be this year.
You do?
Yeah, I think by our third quarter, government fourth quarter, I think that we'll see a lot more people back on site.
Cross the fingers.
Okay. So do you feel that the quality, I know the quantity has definitely upped because folks, being able to work remotely has opened up geographic locations. Do you feel that the quality has changed any? And if so, how?
I think the quality is changing for the better.
That's good to hear.
I think that because so many people are working from home and we are adjusting our work schedules to different hours, we're creating more time for ourselves to look for new opportunities. The applicant flow I'm seeing is from people that probably wouldn't have had time to look for work if they weren't on an adjusted work schedule working from home. Because, if you're on a government site, you can't really look for work while you're at work. I know plenty of people do that because everything's blocked. And so I do feel like I'm getting access to people who maybe were in a classified lab most of the time that I wouldn't have had access to before. Now, with that comes some big salary asks. I'm getting big salary asks that are way above like ERI data. And so we're having to figure out how to navigate that. And that's not been awesome for me.
Why do you think that is? That's interesting.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I've been talking to a lot of other local recruiters in the same industry lately, and we're all seeing it. So we haven't pinpointed, where that's coming from, but I think that you're a lot more confident when you are looking for a job and you don't have to get a new job. And I also think that because so many companies, and this drives me crazy in recruiting at any time, but so many companies, they act like it's so hard to recruit. They don't know how to find people. They can't find people. And when you do that, then the candidates know, well, hey, there's not a lot of me out there, so I'm going to take advantage of this. And I
Right.
do you ask for whatever you want to ask for, but I can't always meet it, So I think that we create this false narrative that recruiting is harder than it is just because it's something that a lot of people don't enjoy doing.
I like that. Recruiting is harder than it is because a lot of people just don't like doing it. What do you think about
how to do it? Lazy.
What do you think about that, Rich? Do you agree with that?
No, not at all. Not at all.
You don't think recruiting is hard either?
No, it's not. You just gotta communicate. I love recruiting. I don't even call myself a recruiter. I'm a communicator. No, it's easy if you get off your butt and do it the right way. You can't post an ad on Monster and just wait for the fish. You got to hunt, right, Kristina?
What do you mean? There's no posting and praying? How can you say that?
Never.
How can you say that?
I know that.
Always on the hunt. Remember that, recruiters. Hunt. Do not fish.
I like that. Hunt, do not fish. Okay.
I actually had a job board reach out. I'm constantly getting calls from vendors. And again, do you, whatever. But if I tell you I'm not interested, it's because I'm really not interested. But
Right.
I had a whole meeting with a job board the other day, and they were like, so what job boards are you using right now? And, they like to know that so they can tell you how their job board is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't use any job board.
Thank you.
Me too.
I don't talk to recruiters who say that. I said, that's because you're not talking to recruiters. You're talking to HR professionals. I love y'all, HR, but it's not the same.
I think about that often. The last 6 years that I was in corporate, I was in operations. So I did not, the main focus of my job was not to, do full life cycle recruiting. I know you guys understand that, and some people maybe not because they just conflate talent acquisition and recruiting all the time. But that's fine. There's a time I thought about that. I was like, and I, as we were going through, what systems we were using, what tools we were using, I'm like, damn. I was like, I haven't been on a job board in like years. Like, what is happening? And I was filling the most roles, but it was like you said, it was that you're not just waiting for something to happen. You're actually getting things done. And one of the things that I try to explain to job seekers are the same things that I explain to recruiters that are, asking for solutions. The same way that you can't, that you don't want a company to just, post a job and, see what happens. Yep. You can't just put your resume up on a job board and expect somebody to call you because, like we just said, best kept secret. The long-standing recruiters who already have a network and a pipeline, who know who to reach out to when certain jobs are available, or know exactly where to go and reach out and make contact and say, hey, anybody interested in this position, or do you know someone? Like, they're using their internal controls before they go outside and even go on a job board. I was like, they're not going to find you. You have to be available to them. You have to be discoverable to them. And that doesn't mean, stop by putting your resume on a job board. What it does help, though, is that, I don't know any company that doesn't spider, their job.
Right.
So yes, if your resume is on a job board, like, you're going to get an alert for those type of things. So yes, that works because you have a broader reach, and you have more access to opportunities than you would otherwise. So I'm not anti-job board, but I just think that the way that we were using them when they were first came out is much different than what we're doing now.
And it's a lot of spam too. We know that out there. I mean, it's just the job boards. They're boring. We're very, how do I say? We're ADHD now, right? So who gets on a job board? It's boring. We want like pictures and videos.
We want TikTok.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't let me fool you. I don't know how to work the TikToks.
Now you do have a TikTok account. I've seen, right?
Yeah, so I had it for like 5 minutes and then I deleted it.
Oh, okay.
I did that one challenge and then I deleted the whole thing.
I'm not doing TikTok, primarily because I have younger nieces and nephews and I don't want to see them on TikTok. Like I want them to have, like, when we were growing up, like we had safe spaces, you know, like we did adolescent things. We did things that were probably questionable that adults would be like, oh yeah. They didn't have access to it. You know, we did it out of their sight. So I want to give my nieces and nephews the same privilege that I had. I want it out of my sight. Like if I go on and I see one of my nieces dropping low doing the busted challenge, I'll probably lose it. Like I'll get in the car, like, and I don't go anywhere. I'll get in the car, like it'll be over.
Word, I agree.
Hey, Kristina, I got a question for you. Okay, first thing I gotta say, Huntsville, space camp all the way, right?
Yes.
Oh.
If people outside of here know us, it's because of space camp. We're such a
movie called Space Camp too.
Did you go to space camp?
No, I seen the movie back in 1986. That's dating myself.
Back in when?
1986.
Oh.
She's like,
hold on now. I'm not going to tell you my age.
Like, I wasn't born.
Oh.
Actually, that was the year I was born. So.
What do you see? I got to ask you, what do you see, like, when you talk to candidates on the phone? What are some of the biggest points that they're looking for now, besides remote work, of course? What else are you seeing?
So this probably has remained the same over several years now, but wanting to be able to really do a fun, technically challenging project. I get a lot of, hey, I've been on site, especially supporting a government customer, and there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape. I just want to get back into the technical weeds. I want to do something fun and exciting. I want to be on the cutting edge of technology. That's probably what I hear over and over and over and over again.
So, I mean, like I said, I've been out now for only a few years, but they don't there's not a lot of research, simulation, and what they used to call wargaming. There's not a lot of work there now?
There is.
Okay.
But usually, you know, as a contractor, you don't own the product or the output, you know.
True.
You have, and not, it's hard to have someone who is technically capable and people capable, right? Because the part that you get to influence and manage when you're interfacing with the customer takes some very good people skills. And you have to be influential and you have to be able to speak their language and still go back and do your technical language. You know, I think that across agencies, they've tried to make small corrections to that to get the customer a little bit more out of the day-to-day operations of it. But you know, I mean, even in recruiting, a customer can come into the process in the middle of it and bust up everything that you've done that's successful and try to get you to start over or, you know, pivot to a different outcome. And that slows you down. And that is, you know, very defeating for the technical folks in the field. So by, you know, trying to make everyone do like an agile process that's more safe agile, that really, really kind of puts up the barriers like, okay, customer, you can't come ask us any questions until this day when we do a sprint demo,
right.
You know? So I think that that's helped some, but so many people get lost in the bureaucracy. And when you get into these big agencies on site, the rumor mills are totally uncontrollable. And so, you know, there's something crazy floating around every day and people just, they want to get back into that technical, solve a really cool problem and not have to follow 47 steps to do one function.
True. Do you think that
or not different?
Right. Do you think us being remote has hindered or helped that more people side of technical work, you know, the communication? Do you think we're being more creative or do you think we're kind of going inside of ourselves?
I think that from a technical standpoint, I think most of them are doing what they wanted to do all along, is just hopping on IM and keeping the team informed in like a Slack channel or something like that all day.
Okay.
And making sure that they only have a 15-minute meeting. So I think that, the communication across project is probably really good. But I think corporate communication flow down, not just like internally at each individual organization, but like say, you're all supporting, Space Command, which none of us are yet. The flow down from the top of Space Command down to all the contractors, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Happening very well right now.
Understood. Any more questions, Rich? I think we're at the 20
One
minute.
more I got from the Space Camp here.
Space Camp.
You know what? Can you give any of the recruiters out there, because I see this question all the time on social media, they rely on job boards. We just talked about that. Is there any tips you can give them of other things to do to recruit and source to help them out? Everybody's so confused these days. They think, wow, I can't find candidates. Do you have one secret?
She's rubbing her head.
Well, I get that question a lot. Anytime I go do any kind of recruiting training or, work with organizations to analyze their recruiting processes, I get that question. And my first reaction is always the same: pick up the phone. I know people don't like to talk on you got to pick up the phone. And, before you even start searching, who is like the best engineer you worked with at your last job? Do you have their number? Call them. Start there. Make it an easy conversation. It's not a cold call, so it'll warm you up so you get excited to make those cold calls. But you just have to pick up the phone. I think people see these stories about how candidates were offended by a recruiter, or they were really upset by how a recruiter approached them. And so then they get scared to pick up the phone, or they get scared to send an email, or even, if you have to, send a LinkedIn message, okay, it's fine. Don't get caught up in the they don't want to hear from us, because they do. Some candidates don't want to hear from us, but they do want to hear from us because they're always open to a better opportunity. Mm-hmm. You just have to be willing and ready to reach out to them and then make that pitch for why this is a better opportunity for them. And the only way you're going to be successful making that pitch is if you listen to what their current pain points are. If you
listen, don't tell.
But it's that simple.
And you know what's funny about it, Kristina? It's great. And KG knows this. When I call somebody up, it's like we're drinking coffee or a beer. We're just chatting in the beginning. I want to get to know them. And then they're like, you're my best friend. Not this, well, I got 5 questions to ask you. What do you want to do the next 3 years and all this? Throw the scripts out the door, people. Am I right?
Oh my gosh. If you're using a script, light it on fire right now. Do not ever use it again.
Oh my God. I have clients that I can't even do this. I'm like,
go for it, Kay.
No, they're like, oh, here's the questions that we ask. I'm like, then why do you want me?
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to say that but I am, but like, why would you pay me to read and take notes? Like, hire somebody that needs to learn. You know what I'm saying? Hire someone that needs to learn more, because we can all learn more. Mm-hmm. Like, hire someone that's just starting out. That's not a good use of my skill set to want me to follow your screening.
Exactly. And I think one thing we have to be is kind to everybody. When I'm on the phone, because you know what? If you burn that candidate, you lost somebody. You follow up with everybody. And Kristina, you probably heard this too. So many candidates that call me, they're like, I've dealt with other staffing firms, never had a call back. They said, call me Tuesday. They hold them accountable too, right? I mean, job seekers are like, where's that call at?
Well, I got to push back on that, because some of our peers have very high volume. It's depending on what types of roles, and they can't
I can understand that.
They can't call every single person that they're not, that they're not advancing, or that's not going to become an applicant. They can, send that automated message, and I know that people don't like it, but I promise you, like, just from the people I coach, like I said, I go from both sides. I'm that person that bridges the gap. So they do like to at least see a correspondence from the company, just to know that, yes, my resume did not disappear. My application did not disintegrate when I hit apply, or when I hit done, or when I hit send, because they do want to hear something. Yes, it was received. Sorry, it's not, but please, come back another time. Like, they want that. Or, hey, set up job alerts so that you do stay informed. But I just don't think that it's reasonable that, given the ratio of recruiter to position and then applicants to position who might apply depending on the type of role, that we can really have a one-on-one with every single person.
Well, if you go, say you're talking to like four conversations into it, you got to still follow up that. I mean, these are people.
Oh yeah, no. I'm saying
for 2 weeks and then they disappeared on me, the recruiter. I'm like, what? I mean,
right. And I think that's something that we can definitely solve in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
I think that you're right. I agree with you that you can't always call everyone. But when I talk to someone for the first time, before we hang up, I lay out the communication plan going forward. I say, this is when you'll hear from me again. Or if you don't make it to the next round, this is how that will be communicated to you.
Yeah.
Just so they know to either look for that email or expect a call from me. And if you haven't heard from me by the second, then I need you to call me, because that means I got lost in something else.
Right.
And I tell them, I'm on it. I got a lot of stuff on my plate. Sometimes I just am going to forget.
Yes, you set expectations. Yeah, but I was just saying, like, there is this expectation of people that apply for jobs that they think they're going to get called every single time. And I'm like, that's just not reasonable. Depending on your position. Depending on the position. But if you've already made contact, if you've already spoken to a live person, if you've already emailed back and forth, the loop should be closed. You should never be left out there wondering what's going on.
Word.
All right. So any last things you'd like to leave our viewers, job seekers and or recruiters, something exciting that's going on in the world of Minyard? TikTok video.
Do not look at me on TikTok, because if I didn't properly delete that, you guys do not need to see that video. No, there's exciting going on here. I'm just going to say it again. Pick up the phone.
What's a phone? What's a phone, Kristina?
Hello?
Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
All right.
We should have a phone training, right? A phone training, right?
Let's do it. You're laughing, but I think it's necessary. People don't know how to talk on the phone. Like, have you ever called someone and you're like, hello? And they're like, what is happening? Like, what is that noise? Why is my phone ringing? And then they're like, hello? You're like, hi, may I speak to the? They're like, yeah. Is this you? Uh-huh.
And then you know what? We have to bring energy. Energy
would be
call.
Right. But people don't expect. Well,
it's
people
Disney World. Boom. Here we go.
But when I was in staffing, still third-party staffing, when I would make a phone call and the girlfriend would answer the phone.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh hey, I'm Kristina. I'm calling from so and so about a job. Oh, hold on.
Right.
But the person's like, who is this woman on my man's phone?
Oh man!
Someone to give him the phone. That's always my favorite when that happens. I'd be the same way. Don't be calling Justin Minyard's phone, because I want to know who you are. I get it.
It's about a job. All right, tell the folks where they can find you.
So you can find me on Twitter at HRecruit. That's supposed to be like, because I do HR and recruiting, HRecruit. And Jasmine Wilkes and I have a Baked HR YouTube channel that we've been hanging out at. You guys can go check that out. It's just Baked HR.
At Baked HR, check it out. I think you guys do a Sunday nights, right?
We do IG Live on Sunday nights and new
Live
videos on YouTube on Wednesdays.
Okay. IG Live, Sunday nights. Wednesday, new YouTube videos, Kristina Minyard and Jasmine Wilkes, Baked HR. Go follow them on Insta. Go follow them on Twitter. And keep in touch with Kristina at HRecruit. And she's on the Twitters, very active. And we'll see the next. We want to have you back, and maybe you'll no longer be the maddest woman in the town. And
we'll update it between now and then for sure.
So that means, Kristina, you made it to round 2. You're back.
Oh, yay! Thanks so much for having me, y'all. This was great.
No, thank you. I think I've only met you in person one time. And I didn't know that. Like, I thought I'd never met you until I saw pictures from us, like, standing next to each other. And I was like, that's Kristina.
I saw those recently and I was like, oh yeah, we did.
Oh, so it wasn't just me. Okay, good. Okay,
No,
good.
we're in the same boat. But my memory is whatever. So
oh, stop it. Stop it. But I'm looking forward to, like I said, I talk to you just about every day online, but looking for this type of arrangement again, this intimate arrangement, and we'll be looking forward to catching you on Baked HR as well. Maybe we'll get Jasmine to come on.
You should, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Let me sign her up right now.
She's gonna kill you. You volunteered her, and she's gonna give you a stink eye.
She'll be fine. She'll love it.
She'll be fine. All right, Jasmine. We'll see you on Trap Chat soon.
That's
all right,
right.
guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Next week, 10 a.m. every Thursday.
I gotta stop waving.